I should have quit on day one. Looking back, there were so many signs that something wasn't right. But when someone offers you that kind of money for easy work, you don't ask too many questions. At least, I didn't. This happened about 2 years ago. At the time, I was broke. Like counting coins to buy food broke. I'd just lost my job, my rent was overdue, and I was one bad week away from being completely screwed. So when I saw the listing, it felt like a miracle. Night shift facility assistant, $45 an hour, no experience required. $45 an hour. I actually refreshed the page because I thought it was a typo. It wasn't. The description was vague. It said the job involved monitoring a property overnight, logging any unusual activity, following a strict set of instructions. That was it. No company name I recognized, no real details. Just an email to apply. I sent my application immediately. Didn't even think twice. They replied within an hour. Not exaggerating, no interview, no background check, just, you're hired. Training begins tomorrow, do not be late. Attached was an address. Way outside the city. That should have been my first red flag. But again, $45 an hour. The next night, I drove out there. The place was isolated. Like nothing around for miles. No houses, no stores. Just this large fenced-off property in the middle of nowhere. Tall metal gates. Security cameras everywhere. And one small building near the entrance. When I pulled up, the gate opened automatically. No guard, no buzzer, nothing, just opened. Inside, there was a man waiting for me. Mid-50s, suit, no smile. He didn't introduce himself, just said, "You're the new one," I nodded. He handed me a clipboard. "Your job is simple," he said. "Follow the rules. Log everything. Do not improvise." Then he handed me a printed sheet. At the top, in bold, it said, "Rules for night staff." There were 12 of them. I remember that clearly because I read them 3 times. Some of them were normal. Do not leave your post. Check cameras every 15 minutes. Record all movement on the property. But others made no sense. Rule number 4. If you hear knocking from inside the storage wing, do not investigate. Rule number 7. If a light turns on in corridor C, mark it in the log, but do not enter. Rule number 9. If you see someone on camera that you do not recognize, refer to rule number 4. I actually laughed. I thought it was a joke, like some weird training exercise. The man didn't laugh. He just looked at me and said, "If you break the rules, you will not be protected." Protected? From what? I wanted to ask. But something about the way he said it made me not want to, so I didn't. He walked me to a small control room. Inside were multiple monitors showing different parts of the property. Hallways, storage areas, exterior views, all empty. "There are no other staff on site overnight," he said. "You are alone." That word stuck with me, alone. Then he left, just walked out. Didn't even say goodbye, and just like that, I was on my first shift. For the first couple hours, nothing happened. I sat there, checked the cameras, filled out the log. It was boring. Easy, I remember thinking. This is the easiest money I've ever made. Then, around 1:30 a.m., something changed. One of the monitors flickered. Just for a second, then it came back. I leaned in. Corridor C. The light had turned on. I froze for a second, because I remembered the rule. If a light turns on in corridor C, do not enter. I stared at the screen, half expecting someone to walk through the frame. No one did, just an empty hallway. Bright light. I picked up the pen and wrote it down. Time, location, light activated, and that was it. Nothing else happened. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Around 2:10 a.m., I heard it. Knocking, soft at first, then louder. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks, coming from somewhere inside the building. My chest tightened, because I knew that sound. Rule number 4. If you hear knocking from inside the storage wing, do not investigate. I sat there, listening. Knock, knock, knock. It didn't sound mechanical. It sounded intentional, like someone was trying to get my attention. Every instinct I had told me to go check. What if someone was stuck? What if someone needed help? But then I remembered what the man said. You will not be protected. Protected from what? The knocking stopped. Just like that. Silence. I didn't move for a long time after that. The rest of the night was quiet. Too quiet. At 6 a.m., my shift ended. The same man came back. He looked at the log, saw my entries, nodded. You followed the rules, he said. Then he handed me an envelope. Cash. I didn't even count it. I didn't have to. It was all there. I went home feeling weird, but also relieved. because I needed that money. So I went back the next night, and the next each night something small would happen. Lights turning on, sounds in empty hallways, cameras glitching for a split second. Always just enough to make you question it, but never enough to prove anything. Until night 7, that's when everything changed. It was around 3 a.m., dead quiet. I was doing my usual camera check when I saw something, a figure, standing at the end of corridor B. I leaned forward, and my heart started pounding. There was someone there, just standing, not moving. I checked the employee list. There were no other staff. I checked the exterior cameras. No one had entered. I looked back at the monitor. Still there. And then it moved, just slightly, like it was turning toward the camera. That's when I remembered rule number 9. If you see someone on camera that you do not recognize, refer to rule number 4. Rule number 4, do not investigate. I sat there, frozen, watching this thing. Stand in a hallway that was supposed to be empty. Then the camera cut out. Just black. I waited 1 second, 2, 5, when it came back. The hallway was empty, no one there. I checked every other camera, nothing. No sign of anyone, but I knew what I saw. And for the first time, I didn't feel curious. I felt scared, really scared. I thought about quitting right then and there, but again, I needed the money, so I stayed. Big mistake, because the next night it got worse. Way worse. Around 2:45 a.m. I heard the knocking again, but this time it wasn't from the storage wing. It was closer, right outside the control room door. 3 knocks. I stopped breathing. No one was supposed to be there. Slowly, I turned my head toward the door, and then a voice, quiet, almost whispering, "Hey, can you let me out?" My entire body went cold, because I recognized that voice. It sounded like me, exactly like me, same tone, same pitch, same everything. "Please," it said, "I've been stuck in here all night." I didn't move. I couldn't. Then it knocked again, 3 times. I looked at the rule sheet, my hands shaking. There was one rule I hadn't noticed before, at the very bottom, almost like it had been added later. Rule number 12. If the voice resembles your own, do not respond. I backed away from the door, slowly. The voice kept talking. "It's cold in here. Why are you ignoring me? You're literally right there." Then the tone changed. It got angry. "Open the door." I just stood there, waiting for it to stop. And eventually it did. Silence. The rest of that night I didn't take my eyes off the door. At 6 a.m. the man came back. I told him everything, the figure, the voice, the knocking. He listened, didn't interrupt. Then he said something I'll never forget. He lasted longer than most. Most? I asked him what that meant. He ignored the question. Instead, he slid another envelope across the desk, bigger than the last one. "Your services are no longer required." That was it. No explanation, no closure, just done. I never went back. Couldn't find anything, no business listing, no records, nothing. Like it never existed, but I know it did because sometimes late at night I still hear it. 3 knocks, pause. 3 knocks in a voice that sounds exactly like mine.
Sing to be let out.
Boo.